Alright, fans of The Flash and the CW in general, it's time to answer an age-old question. Who's the better villain? We've had a lot of characters on The Flash these past 4 seasons, and even though I'm going through some old footage, I just want to take a look at some of our favorite villains. Personally, I think the series' best villain is Reverse Flash, starting off as the original creepy stalker, dangerous speedster that came up against Barry. And Barry's constantly racing against other speedsters, trying to figure out who's the fastest person, trying to prove himself. But none have had quite an impact as Reverse Flash had in his debut in season 1. I think Tom Cavanaugh did a fantastic job portraying the creepy, evil self. But we move on to the real question. Zoom, the dominant, angry Wraith of Death himself. Zoom was a great foil to Barry in season 2 as the titular psychopath who murders and uses his speed to the absolute maximum of his potential. And we saw a ton of that. One thing I do love, I want to mention, is Captain Cold is one of my favorite villains. I want to pay a little homage to him real quick. And one of the scenes that inspired me to first create anything of this sort back in season 1 when he was on that train and he was pushing his powers even further. I just love how somebody as human as Captain Cold with nothing but a plan and a gun that shoots ice can make such feats such as this happen. And I think he's an important part of what makes Barry's character a hero, because he serves as the reoccurring criminal element to the show. But that ice gun adds a little bit of fantasy to it, and even that ice gun can slow Barry down. So I just thought that was great, and I loved seeing him in any episode. But back to the main point. We start with our first fight against Zoom as he confronts him at Star Labs and tries to use the lightning toss trick on him, which, as us experienced fans of the show know, that he was actually the person who taught Barry the lightning trick. So it only makes sense that he'd be able to counter it. But just take a look. Starting off with an unconventional confrontation, I think the directors purposefully had him take his time. They talk about in the documentaries that are on the extras on the DVD about how Zoom is a very slow, methodical villain. Vicious fight scenes here. I love how he just snaps Barry's back. I just love that level of despair that he created. Almost an invincible speed demon of sorts.
I am the fastest man alive.
And then we have Savitar's introduction. A bit less of an impact, I believe, simply because of the fact that he was such a mysterious character. Not a lot of information had been, given about him at this point. And it was a very rough transition into, meeting the big bad for this season. And I feel like his suit, combined with the fact that he is a very large character, made it difficult for them to create a compelling scene with him, and they had all these different story elements that changed the way he would look. Fantastic CG work on some of these scenes, not so good on others, but I do agree that his suit is absolutely amazing, and the sheer amount of speed that he has and displaying this power has definitely left an impression that the other villains hadn't quite. I don't feel despair watching this scene, however. I feel like it was a bit less impactful because there have been so many speedster villains. But one thing I did love about this scene is what happens towards the end.
Still alive down there. You are only a shadow beneath my throne. You are the past. Whereas I
Love this little cameo, this little caveat about how he's the future Flash.
I can't see it.
And everybody thought that he wasn't saying that, you know. I think that's funny because he was directly stated.